senior vet had anything left in the tank, or if this was just a charity case to give Melo one last hurrah. But after one 25-point performance, Melo wants to make one thing clear, saying, quote, "This ain't a damn farewell tour. My love for the game don't stop. I don't know where this farewell tour thing came from. I've never talked about a farewell tour. I know what I can do, and I believe in myself. And when a farewell tour comes, it comes. But ain't no retiring in my mind. I believe in what I have left." Nick, what was your reaction to what Melo had to say?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This bummed me out. Full disclosure, I love Carmelo Anthony. I love him. Not only Syracuse. I tend to root for guys, the way Jenna tends to root for backup quarterbacks. I root for guys that I think are... No, honestly, Jenna roots for the underdog. And I root for guys who I think are treated unfair, or who the narrative is misconstrued in the national media. I have no reason to root for Dwight Howard, but I seem to be always rooting for Dwight Howard, even prior to him coming to the Lakers, because I feel like the folks in positions like this have totally... not even misconstrued, misrepresented what he accomplished and who he was. I feel the same way about Melo, that because he wasn't able to get the Knicks over the hump, and because he wasn't LeBron James and he wasn't even Dwayne Wade, people act like, you know what I mean? In reality, he actually hurt teams he was on. You know, the advanced analytics tell you that his inefficient... Stop it. And so... I want Carmelo Anthony to have a graceful exit to the league because I think he deserves it. I think a player of his caliber deserves it. One of the best scorers of this era deserves it.
No doubt.
But the thing that has been the stumbling block for Melo ever since he left New York is being honest with himself and maybe people around him being honest with him about, even for great players, what this phase of your career looks like if you are fortunate enough to have this phase of your career. Most guys never make it to year 17. Great players never make it to year 17. And so for Melo, after one great game, to start talking like, I'm about to show you guys I'm still Melo, that to me is going to lead to bad outcomes. If Dwight had
bad
a very...
outcomes on the court.
Yes, on the court, because Dwight had a surprisingly effective start of the season with the Lakers. Right. And if he was like, see, I told you guys, the Dwight you thought you were getting 5 years ago in LA, you're getting now, I'd say, all the alarms would be going off. Right. Because you have to understand where you are, who you are, and what your role is. And for Melo, that's tough. I thought a year in exile, an unfair year in exile, would have done him good mentally in that regard if he got this chance. This comment right here concerns me enormously, that he still thinks it's year 11. And it ain't year 11, it's year 17.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. And Jenna, you mentioned, was it a charity case when they signed him, or was it, you know, something else? It was neither. It wasn't a charity case because they need him to come in there and help them. Obviously, they're struggling. But it also wasn't, okay, we got a big three with Melo, Damian Lillard, and C.J. McCollum. It's somewhere in between. And Melo has to look in the mirror and say, hold on, I've played 4 games. I'm shooting 39% from the field. We're 1-3 in the 4 games I've played. 2 of the losses are Cleveland and New Orleans, 2 bad teams. And this win, this 25-8 I put up, was against the Bulls. So don't start talking like you're the old Melo. That's what's kept him out of the league. I've been saying it ever since he's been out of the league, Nick. He is still better than, I've said, 65% of the players in the league. If you just think better is, most guys can't go out there and put up that type of night. Okay? He can still do that. He can still score. There's no doubt. But teams have not wanted him because will he accept that role of being a 15-point scorer off the bench, or knowing you're not the old Melo. And that's why Allen Iverson had the early exit. And that is why Melo was out
Vince Carter can play to year 22.
Exactly.
Because he knows exactly where he is, who he is, and is not trying to still be, you know what I mean, the highest flyer, best scorer in basketball like he once was.
And Carmelo Anthony might not even have been in this position if that was the approach that he would have accepted when he was with Houston. Okay, my role will be to come off the bench. I don't have to start. I can contribute in any way possible. And he seemed to want to push back or
more,
fight
and I would
that.
say even more of the stop before Houston, OKC.
Maybe
Houston maybe was never going to be a fit because of the style they play. But OKC,
but you still heard him say that in
1,000%.
as well.
And this is what I think kills him, and I think this is tough, is that much like Brady and Breeze have made all of us really overestimate how long quarterbacks can play. You've got this class of guys, the 03, 04, 05 draft class, right? So the Melo was 03, along with Wade, Bosh, and LeBron. 04 is Dwight. 05 is Chris Paul. Those are the best 6 guys from those draft classes. Let's look at where they are. Chris Paul is a toxic contract who is still a capable player, but he's 2 draft classes younger than Carmelo Anthony. Dwight Howard, 1 draft class younger than Melo, same age as Melo, or I'm sorry, 2 years younger than Melo, actually, because he came straight out of high school. He is in the role player bench scorer part of his career. D. Wade is retired. Chris Bosh is retired. The problem is that whole crew is, except for Dwight, they're all LeBron's guys.
Right.
And they all at one point thought, all right, I'm either as good as him or it's damn close. And LeBron's still the best player in the league. And they're looking around saying, it perverts what they think is realistic.
No doubt.
As far as at year 17, what should you be? Well, I don't know. When I was 17 years old, I was as good as this guy. When I was 20 years old, I damn near won Rookie of the Year over this guy. When we were 24 years old, we were both first-team All-NBA. He's a league MVP, and I'm not a 20-point game scorer. Give me a break. I think LeBron still being LeBron, it affects what Melo thinks is realistic.
I said this about Melo. Look, you had 16 years. He played longer than Magic, Bird, Michael Jordan.
Yes.
I mean, you've had a full
Danny
career.
Ainge probably is.
Yeah, I mean, guys didn't play that long back in the day. Isaiah Thomas, so he's had a successful career. Look, I said it to begin with. If he averages 13 to 15 points for them and helps them get back in the playoff race, that's a good season.
And people, that's the 15 points per game in year 17.
That would be great.
Here's the full list of guys who have ever done it. 15 points per game. Kobe, Dirk, Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Shaq, both Malones, Karl and Moses, Kareem, and LeBron's going to do it. Those are 9 of the greatest 25 players ever. I love Melo. He ain't no 25 greatest players ever. So 10 points per game, knowing his role on the team, to me would be a positive return in year 17. But you got to accept that role, and this comment to me concerns me that he's not ready to.
Tom Brady accepts that he's in year, what, 20?
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows it. Coming up, can Brady still be deadly in that year 20? Next on First Things First.